Life can give us many wonderful times, but it can also bring us tragedy, and I've definitely experienced my share of both. On a day when I was feeling pretty sorry for myself, I saw a woman dealing with a similar heartbreaking situation, and doing it with enormous grace and courage. Watching how she was able to handle her circumstances inspired me, and it renewed my sense of hope. I started thinking about how little opportunity we have to see real role models and to hear their stories. When I discovered the work of Dr. Siebert and became aware of the worldwide and growing tide of research into human resilience, I decided to create Bouncing Back. We all need help at different times in our lives. Why not learn from the experts, true life-inspiring role models and leading researchers who can share their stories, insights, and wisdom into what makes us able to survive and even thrive, however difficult our circumstances may be. Dr. Edith Eva Eger's life has been an extraordinary journey. From Holocaust victim and refugee to respected clinical psychologist, professor, and expert on post-traumatic stress, Dr. Eger is the very picture of resilience. What happened in May 1944?
I was on my way to Auschwitz. I'm part of the final solution of Eichmann. The Germans took over Hungary in March 1944. They took us to a brick factory, and from there I was taken to the cattle car. And I never forget what my mom told me then, which I always say when I speak to the students, because education that got me here in La Jolla, where I'm living. But I remember my mom holding me very closely, and she said, "We don't know where we're going. We don't know what's going to happen. I just want you to remember, no one can take away from you what you put here in your own mind."
Those must have been words that sustained you throughout, yes?
Throughout. And I was not really free until I went back to Auschwitz many years later to thank my mom that she was right.
Dr. Eger, on the day that you were taken to Auschwitz, you mentioned that your family was separated.
I never forget the day. I have documents from the Red Cross that I arrived May 22nd, 1944, and there was chaos. Right away we were separated. My father was taken away, and my mother and I were at the end of the line. And I never forget the day when I met the angel of death, Dr. Mengele. He pointed to the left and he pointed to the right. And I was holding on to my mom on one side, my sister Magda on the other side. And he pointed my mom to go to the left. And I followed my mom. I can still see that. It's so vivid. And so I'm beginning to tremble as I talk to you, but I think it's important. So I followed my mom, and Dr. Mengele grabbed me, looked me in the eye. Never forget those eyes. And he said, I spoke German fluently those days. He said, "You're going to see your mother very soon. She's just going to take a shower." So he promptly threw me on the other side, which meant life. And so we ended up in a place called Birkenau, that was for women. The men were in Auschwitz. And so I saw an inmate, and I asked, "When will I see my mother?" And she pointed at the chimney. Fire was coming out of the chimney, and said, "You better talk about your mother in past tense. She's burning there." So the question is, even today, how can you find from within you when nothing really came from without? People, you know, who are waiting for someone to make them happy will never be happy. And this is perhaps what is important for today, not what happened to me, but what I have discovered, that no Nazi could ever take away my spirit and murder my spirit. So that's very vivid. Even today, I can picture that, seeing her telling me that. And my sister Magda heard it all, and she hugged me, and she said, the spirit never dies. The spirit never dies. That's so vivid in me. So she was the pretty one, and next thing I knew, we were completely shaved. So now, my sister's beautiful hair is gone. She came to me, she had her beautiful locks in her palm. She looked at me and she said, how do I look? And I think these are the choices that we even have today, whether you point out someone what they don't have rather than what they do have, whether they point out what is right rather than what is wrong, whether we can really take the best. And that's what I did, and I didn't lie to her. I said to her, Magda, you have beautiful eyes. And you know, I didn't see your eyes so beautifully because your hair was covering it all up. And I think these are the lessons that I learned from my ballet master, how to find the power from within. And Auschwitz became an opportunity to discover traits I never thought was possible.
I know you've said that Auschwitz was your school.
The best, it taught me how to commit myself to my sister and others, how to be a quick decision maker. We didn't have time to ask why me.
You've said to me sometimes that instead of saying why me, you would say the words why not me.
That's right. That little word is when I work with cancer patients, and I've been working with them for at least 30 years now. And it's the way many people look at cancer as a gift of God. And they are given an opportunity to take really stock of their lives, to appreciate every moment. Because sometimes we don't appreciate, you know, what we have until we lose it.
Your experience was harrowing there, and I know it continued. You were part of the infamous death march, and Magda was with you at that point.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, that was, you know, before I was liberated. I was taken out of Auschwitz before it was liberated, sometime early in December, I think. We never knew what month, what day, but I know that Christmas was already somewhere near the Czechoslovakian border. And I became a slave laborer. I carried ammunition on a train. They thought that the British won't bomb, so we had the striped uniforms, but the British bombed anyway, so I was very close to that many, many times.
What condition were you in physically when you were in the midst of essentially slave labor?
Yeah, very, very weak. And that was April 1945. The death march took place between Mauthausen in Austria, going to Gunskirchen. They took us in the middle of a forest. I revisited that place, and they were supposed to blow us up. But the man who was supposed to execute the order left, and I was liberated by the 71st Infantry. And a couple months ago, I was invited to go to Fort Carson to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, and I noticed that's the home of the 71st Infantry. Isn't that wonderful?
It's wonderful.
It is.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, I just couldn't believe it. I'm still looking for the GIs who found me. You know, I was left for the dead. And so I'm so happy to be here with you and telling you about the second chance that I was given in life, and every moment is so precious.
You've made every moment so precious. It's
Yeah.
clear that, and you speak a lot about the importance of choice
Yes,
in life.
yes. The man who taught me about that was Viktor Frankl. The book is called Man's Search for Meaning. And when I read that many, many years later, because I kept my secret, I didn't tell anyone I was in Auschwitz. I just wanted to be a Yankee Doodle dandy coming to America. I didn't want to speak English with an accent, so you can see how much it has done for me.
It's just a little accent.
But he was that wonderful, beautiful man who really was a mentor. I became a diplomate in logotherapy, and he talks about the freedom of choice, and he said, everything can be taken away from a human being except the less freedom, the freedom to choose your attitude. I think that he has given me the words to be able to even begin to talk about my experience. I didn't have the verbal capacity. I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me, so I kind of just went underground.